committee and things like that, as well as one last team that we have not mentioned is Louisville, and head coach Bobby Petrino had some comments about the playoff committee and their criteria. He took a little bit of issue with that. Let's hear his comments. Okay, so guys, I have to ask you, given Bobby Petrino's comments, should teams be running up the score, and is that playing a factor into the committee's mind?
Don't you? First of all, nobody on this show has been more of a champion.
Long-sighted of him because he's trying to establish a campaign for his own team, which I cannot blame him for.
Absolutely. Now, from all
a division or a portion of that conference that's going to be full of subpar teams, but all of them collected in this nice, neat package makes for a great visual.
Yes, certainly, and especially for anyone who is sick of hearing about all the SEC and how it's the best conference from top to bottom and that depth that it provides. This is maybe a celebratory moment for those.
Well, but at the end of the day, there are still some quality wins for these to win the East in a down year.
When Alabama is rolling into that Final Four, I don't want to hear one SEC chant from anyone in that group right there. You guys get to sit this one out.
Well, listen, we're going to have to see how some of these teams do in bowl games when they're playing more out. Committee comes out with their top 25 rankings tomorrow, and we're now joined by Greg McElroy, ESPN college football analyst. Greg, I want to start by asking you, who do you think should be the number 4 team in the country tomorrow?
I think it should be Ohio. Combined against teams over 500 than those two put together. Don't forget the Tulsa win, all right? Tulsa at Oklahoma, at Wisconsin. Of course, they lost to Penn State. I have a hard time overlooking that, but I think that
the committee looks very favorably on.
They love them.
So how much emphasis are they supposed to put on leading your conference at this point? Because that's Washington's big argument.
At this point, nothing. Because you know what? The conference rankings don't really matter at this point. Look, at the end of the point. Look, at the end of the week, at the end of the year, we can't forecast that Washington's going to win the Pac-12. Yeah, I respect the fact that they're undefeated, but who have they played? Would they be undefeated? I think that Washington, if they do win the Pac-12 and are an undefeated team, 13-0, they'll certainly be in one of those 4 spots. But right now, we're tasked to find the 4 best.
With Danny talking about quarterback play specifically in the SEC, but we know the East hasn't really been the conference du jour in college football this year.
Quarterback. But if you're going to criticize, you also have to give credit to the teams that have overachieved. That's what I don't understand. It's easy to criticize the SEC, but how about the teams that are playing well above where we thought they'd be? Texas, if they win this weekend against a Georgia team that's struggling. So I think you have to give credit where credit is due. But is it as deep as it once was? I don't think it is. And is it as talented as it once was? I think there are big questions about that as well.
And to be fair, those were the arguments that people would always make for the SEC is the depth from top to bottom. And I think and Stanford isn't what we were expecting.
And Stanford as well. Big 12, okay, Texas isn't as good as they once were. Now all of a sudden the Big 12 struggling. Oklahoma's okay, but you're always judged by your top level teams. Alabama has the top team in college football right now.
I'm with you. If the SEC's Alabama and friends, that's a pretty good show.
Haven't you learned? I mean, I feel like this is the 3rd or 4th time this year we've had to help you through. Just stay off the Twitters while the game's going on. I mean, that's
how many possessions did Notre Dame have?
6.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
6 whole possessions there. I had a lot of time in between Notre Dame drives to contemplate. Very true. Not a lot of ghost riding going on most highways. Marshawn Lynch.
It could have been a lot more dangerous, I suppose. So
that's true.
Greg, thanks for taking the time to come on. Finally, we're glad you're hanging out with us.
10 weeks. Goodness gracious.
It's too long. Don't wait so long before you come back. Thanks for hanging out. Coming up next, did you